Welcome to the Be That Healing Girl podcast. And today we're going to ask and answer the question, is this the most toxic habit of anxious attachment? Question mark. And I love that question and I want to answer it because while I think there's a lot of toxicity out there in just social media in general and also in the dating relationship space, I think it's also a really powerful tool to be self-inquiring, to have self-inquiry, to self-examine. And we're going to talk about this habit today because I do actually feel it is super toxic and it's such a contradiction because it feels really necessary. And I'd put money on it that you are probably doing it. And so let's dive into it. And if you are the type of girly that is you are in your head and you feel like you just can't help it. You cannot help. It feels almost like an addiction in a way where you can't stop overthinking. You make up these fake scenarios in your head and you just feel like you can't help yourself. Like they just told you I love you and 2 hours later you're like, okay, did they just breathe too heavily? Are they going to break up with me? And you just feel like you cannot help yourself. And it can also feel like a bad habit. Like you might even, I would say a lot of times when I look at my clients in my community, it feels really shameful. It feels like you know that you shouldn't be doing that. There's no evidence, but somehow you just can't help but just ruminate all day, every day. Then this is a great episode for you. I can't wait to dive into it. And one thing that we're doing inside the Healing Girl Gang, especially in this month. So each month in the Healing Girl Gang, we have a very specific topic. And the topic of the month for August is overthinking. Overthinking is the big topic for this month. And we also, every month, we have an overthinking detox. But the detox for this month is obviously super powerful and super potent because it's bolstered and supported by all the other things that I'm teaching as far as implementation day, the action taker toolkit, the masterclass that you get inside the Healing Girl Gang around overthinking in August. And so today is Tuesday. The podcast drops on Tuesdays. So we just started it. So if you are listening to this and you are like, okay, I need some solid practical action steps, then you want to make sure that you're inside. Okay. Link is in the bio in the show notes. And if you're new here, my name is Claire. Love to see ya. And I love helping as a relationship coach. I love helping achieving high performing girlies in your career, in the corporate ladder, in the academic world, in entrepreneurship. If you are slaying it, you are doing the thing, you're at the top of your game, but at the same time, you feel like you are losing out to your overthinking left and right. You are spiraling every time that you sense that the vibe is off. You are making things up in your head. They're a wonderful partner, and somehow you are you're losing it. Okay? It feels like the floor is going to be just swept underneath you any second. Then this is a great place for you to be. If you're enjoying this episode or seriously any other episode, if you're binging these episodes, hitting the 5-star in Apple, and you can leave a review in Apple or on Spotify, it means so, so much. It keeps this podcast free, which I love and I want that for us. And also it's just like nice to see your high five in the form of a 5-star. So thanks for doing that. So let's dive into the most toxic habit. And if you haven't picked up what it is definitely overthinking. All right. Now I was debating, okay, what direction I want to take this episode, because I would in fact argue that one of a toxic thing would be blame. But that's not a lot of times who I talk to. So if you look at my comments on, good Lord, TikTok's a good one, but sometimes even on Instagram, but blame is a super toxic thing. Avoidance are the bad guys. Avoidance. And look, if you want to blame a method or a protection that somebody is doing to keep themselves safe, this is probably, I'm not the mentor for you. Okay. I'm not the one to be talking. So, or helping you. Okay. Because if you want to blame somebody, that is your prerogative. But I will tell you with a lot of love, it's not going to help you feel better. It's not going to help you heal. It's not going to help you be with a good partner that is actually trying to show up, and maybe you're just blocking the shit out of them. All right. I'll just be honest. So when I think of the toxic habit, and when I say toxic, I'm not saying like you are doing this on purpose, that you're being intentional or malicious. I would say it's self inflicted pain, but it's definitely, when I say toxic, it feels like an addiction. And I just know that for sure. Like, I hear this so much. Like, you know better. Like, your logical mind doesn't want to do it. You don't want to overthink. And you might even beat yourself up for overthinking. And you're like, why am I doing this again? Like, I just want it to stop. It can feel like you just can't help yourself, right? Like, you just can't help yourself. That's what I mean when I say toxic, because it is like a bad habit. It's like you are addicted to it. You're obsessed with it. Like, you just can't help but get into it. And there's a couple of reasons why that's happening. And I want to dive into those today. And the quick overview of this, just to kind of orient you and to get you in the right direction, would be you're getting a neurochemical reward. All right. Just like if you have a cookie and you're getting a little bit of, it's not just like the sugar rush. You're actually like, there's a dopamine hit. It's like your phone, right? You're getting dopamine. So that mental spiral, that mental like rigmarole that you're doing to find the evidence, it is a dopamine hit. Okay, so that kind of like, because it can feel like a mental workout. And I don't know about you, but if when I would be spiraling, so let's say this was like the textbook thing, the pattern, and I would like to consider myself a pattern expert. Like, this is, I see these patterns and I know how to stop them with my clients. But the pattern for me would be, things would be so great over the weekend. We have a great time together, or not just even the weekend, and we would have great quality time together. And then there would be just something building up. Like, there'd be something that I wanted to say, or something that I want to address, or maybe the vibe was just off, or something that I was making up in my head. And then we'd have a great time together, and like clockwork, within 12 hours a day, 3 days, the bottom would blow out, right? And it almost felt like, I don't want to like relate this too much to addiction, but it's kind of like that, where that me saying something or having a little fight, picking something or bringing something up that I really, in retrospect, could have just let go. It wasn't that big a deal. It felt like relief. And I don't say that word lightly. And I almost felt like a release. Like, I just had to let a little bit of that air out, like a little, had to off gas a little bit. And afterwards, this is how I would relate it to an addiction. And I'm just going to say this as lightly as I can. But when I had a really interesting history with food, it would definitely feel like, like a release, like an exhale. Okay. Like, oh man, I just, did the thing. And so I can relate that. I started just to notice the pattern of like, wow, okay, like there's this pattern going on. This is weird, where we're getting into the cycle where, okay, we get into the fight, or I have to say the thing, or I have to bring it up. And I could definitely start to notice that there was like a release and a relief that I would feel afterwards. And it was like a dopamine hit. So why overthinking can be so toxic, especially if you're an overachiever, not an overachiever, my apologies, a high achiever or a high performer. Overachievers, I love you, but like, high performers and high achievers, there's proof. But I could definitely notice that there was a pattern in how I was feeling, and it very much was a pattern that I was familiar with. So first thing, why it's so toxic, is that you are getting a dopamine hit. Now, I don't know if you have felt this too, but when you're scrolling, it feels good until like 5 hours later, you feel like shit. You don't feel good. You feel like, wow, what did I do with my day? Your brain, like I'm so interested to see the studies about what social media does to our brains, like our ability to critically think, to feel pleasure, actually, like real, just inherent pleasure in our bodies. I noticed that from my retreat, like, wow, everything feels so much more rich and more vibrant because I'm not looking at the screen as much. So first thing, the reason why it's toxic is because you're addicted to the dopamine. Okay, straight up, from the overthinking. The second thing is that you get a bit of a psychological payday that is very short-lived. Key, short-lived. short-lived. It's a psychological payday because it's giving you this illusion of productivity when you overthink, right? You are trying to find an answer. And again, you combine this with being a high performer, high achiever who uses a lot of intellect, a lot of logic. You're getting a bit of this illusion that you're being productive, that you're also creating an illusion that you're in control. And so when you're in this doing mode of, I got to figure out what's going on and like, why did he not answer and what's going on with the delay in communication, it can oftentimes feel very much like, okay, I'm like doing this feels good. The thinking about it, the trying to figure out the problem feels really good. And the irony is that for me, at least, I would think about something and I'd come to some kind of like solution. And then it would often not be the thing that I thought it was. I was like, oh, it's not about me. Like, he just felt overwhelmed with work and the project that he had to finish and the trip with his parents or whatever, like the thing that was not about me at all. So there is a very short lived payday that you're getting. Right now, long term, that is a totally different story. You are not getting a lot of long term benefit from that. So, first, you're getting a neurochemical reward. So, literally on a biological level, you're getting dopamine, highly addictive. Okay, look at your phone. Second thing is that there's a bit of a psychological payday. So, if you have a long history of or even I'm thinking about one of my clients who was on here, Karuna. She studied neurology. I mean, she's like really smart and she does research for that. And so there's a lot of just even built in reward for being able to figure things out. If you haven't listened to her episode, go check it out. She's wicked smart, awesome client, love her. But there is a psychological payday. So, two reasons why it's toxic. The third one is that if you can be in your head and you can just be in that kind of spiral, you are actually avoiding being present and the realness of relationship. And realness is where connection happens. Being present is where connection happens. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about another client of mine, a one-on-one client that like she is a dreamer and she loves to live out kind of fantasies in her head. I mean, I relate to that too because Craig has a bit of flavor of that in his own way where he can really think and process a lot. I do it in a different way, but a lot of times anytime you're overthinking, you are avoiding the present and you're avoiding the reality and the realness, because a lot of times when we put that focus on the task or on the problem in our head, when we're overthinking, okay? So we're overthinking is all about focusing on the imaginary thing, the fake scenario, then you can avoid the tough conversation. Okay? So instead of actually dealing with the problem or having the hard conversation, we just stay in our head about it. And we get to sidestep the pain of admitting that I am feeling vulnerable, I'm feeling scared, I'm having a big feeling. And instead of having that tough conversation or revealing that to our partner, we just get in our head about it and we make things up. And we tell ourselves, I just want to figure it out. And that's just an avoidance and a distraction from actually being real with somebody and actually connecting and having the hard conversation, because it's just easier to avoid it. So these are all components of why overthinking is so toxic. And again, if you just look at all these things, they're so toxic because it feels very necessary. It feels very justified. It feels very like, I gotta do this. And I'm just going to also relate this, I'm a pattern expert, I like to call it, but I could feel the same thing when I was deep in a cycle of unhealthy thinking and acting with my body, where when I was full on in an unhealthy pattern, I felt very justified with spending an hour and a half on the treadmill. Okay. I felt very justified. Like, don't mess around with me. Like, I got to get this done. And lo and behold, that's exactly how I would feel with overthinking. Like, I got to think this through. Like, I can't even be bothered with the project and work that I have to finish or the thing I have to write. Like, I need to think about this and I need to like run myself through a rigmarole to figure out something. And so again, like, just ask yourself too, is there a commonality in that? Like, when you get fixated on something, do you have to like complete it in your mind instead of actually facing it? So that's my take on why this is so toxic. And again, overthinking is the topic in the Healing Girl Gang. And if you need more specific like support with that, then one-on-one coaching might be a good option. Links are all in the show notes. And the reality is you can't outthink yourself out of overthinking. You can't overthink out of overthinking. The way to get out of overthinking is through action and support. And I was thinking about my yoga teacher, and she is a real specialist. I mean, I love her. I've learned so much about just life. I mean, I have different yoga teachers, but one thing that I really admire is that like we can do the same thing. And I used to be a vinyasa girl, if you guys do yoga, but that's like inhale, exhale. And that was fun for a while until I couldn't get deeper poses. I couldn't get harder poses because basically, essentially, love you, more power. But I was practicing the wrong thing. Not the wrong thing. I was practicing things without a lot of depth, without a lot of understanding. And while action is important at different phases, we also want to align ourselves with action that is intelligent, that is specific. And if you are, for example, if you're doing the hot girl walks and you're doing all you're journaling and nothing is changing, it's maybe not the action. Is the action aligned for where you're at in this moment, right? So again, like look at another example would be, so maybe you're like, okay, going on a walk, eating broccoli, right? Like all avoiding coffee. Things are great for your health, but if you want to have like a booty like Beyonce, you got to do different things. Right? Doing a group exercise class, while wonderful if you're just starting out, you may not be at that phase if you have a specific goal. So, just saying, if you need some support, I'm your girl. And speaking of support, let's answer a Healing Girl Gang question. So, Healing Girl Gang, besides the masterclass, the implementation days, action taker toolkit, full of worksheets, actionable steps, I also love answering questions from girlies in the Healing Girl Gang on the pod. So, Sarah says, I'm in a situation where I've been with someone for a year. Love that. Things have been great and I feel good and secure. Awesome. Love that too. A few weeks ago, he abruptly told me he needed to work on himself and he hasn't processed his last relationship, which ended in divorce. He said all these things about he felt like he needed to grow up and get himself together. He said he wanted a future with me, but couldn't give me what I needed right now because he realized he wasn't taking care of himself. I'm still trying to understand the situation as it caught me so off guard. I can tell he's struggling, but I don't know what to do. How do I know if I should even entertain the idea of us coming back together? I want to, but I know I can't rely or expect anything. So, yeah, I mean, Sarah, I'm hearing that this is so common, just the conflict. And I just feel like it's important to say that what I'm seeing from him, and I only have this little blip of understanding. Relationships are multifaceted and complex, and there's a lot of context that I'm guessing I'm not seeing. But so everything that he's saying here, he needs to process his last relationship, which was like he has a divorce. Like, so Craig, I've never been married. Craig is my first husband, only husband. I am Craig's second marriage. So, and I will tell he was fucked up. Like it had even been like, I think a year or 2 years after his marriage ended, and he was traumatized. And not even necessarily because of her, but because of how crushing, how devastating it was for him. So I hear that, and I have a lot of compassion for somebody, and a good portion of even my one-on-one clients have been divorced, are looking to date in their second attempt. And I just want to say that it's not something to be taken lightly. And now being married to somebody who has had that experience, I can tell you that I didn't really understand the scope of somebody's experience when they're going through divorce. So I can just tell you that I hear his point here. He has experienced divorce, and ask anybody who has been through that experience. It is really freaking hard. It is hard, Sarah. It's hard. And it's easy to look at yourself in the relationship that's the new relationship or newer, and make it about you. But I just want to just I'm feeling so deeply that he is making it clear that he's got to get his ducks in a row. Okay. And what I love that he's even sharing is that he's being super vulnerable. Like, God, it is so hard for anybody, forget a guy, to say, I need to grow the fuck up. I need to grow up. I need to get myself together. I see something with you, but and I'm making this up because I mean this I'm only taking what you're seeing, but like it takes a real mature person to say I need to take care of this in order to be a better person. And I like for that to be with you. And that takes courage. It takes a lot of like guts to say that. Um and he wants a future with you, and he can't give you what you need right now because he's not taking care of himself. I mean I mad respect. Mad respect. And I'm feeling into what part of you, I'm going to say this with so much love, like is willing to be in a partnership with somebody where he's not taking care of himself. And ask yourself, be really honest, am I trying to save him? Am I trying to make it better for him? Because in true partnership, we are responsible for ourselves. Like you've got to take care of yourself, they've got to take care of themselves. And he is admitting that he needs to take care of himself. And so when we start to get in trouble, we get into really murky area when we take too much responsibility and say, I can make you feel better, I can take care of you. No. eh like red alert. We want to be whole, and we are whole and perfect in our perfection, right? But he is admitting that he needs to work on himself. Not easy to hear, honey, not easy to hear. And so I just also want to say that be here in this moment. Right now, he's asking for space. He needs to take care of his stuff. And the best thing you can do is to not center him right now. It's to put the focus back on you. Simple to say, but not always easy. Okay. Simple, but not easy. And the great news is you're in the Healing Girl Gang, you're in support, you're in community. You know, I recommend when the overthinking detox happens every single month that you put your money where your mouth is. Is that the way you say it? Show up for that. Okay. That's going to literally actionable steps every single month that you can do to help you, center and get back into yourself. Okay. So those are my thoughts on that. Sarah, I'll see you on the inside, and I love each and every one of you. Mwah.